Welcome back to the dark side. Today, I got 2 true school lockdown stories for you. It was a typical boring day in calculus, only it was Friday, 7th period, meaning the week was almost over and spring break would finally be upon us, so everybody was getting antsy in their seats. I could tell we didn't have a test that day, unlike many of my friends who had with their other teachers. So our teacher, in the middle of class, decided to start playing games with us on sporkle.com. He was a very laid-back teacher like that. As we were doing a brand logo quiz on Sporkle, I remember the exact moment it happened. Right after my friend answered a question, I remember the exact answer too, Adidas. The dean's voice came through the loudspeaker. He sounded panicked and frantic as he told all the teachers this was not a drill, and to go into lockdown, I actually got the chills, and I got goosebumps on my arms, as our usually laid-back teacher too seemed panicked as he ran to turn off the lights and ushered us to the back corner of the room. We all sat in silence for about 2 minutes, and then the usual buzzing that came from the panel in the back of the room ceased, indicating that the school must have cut all the power. We all looked at each other, realizing this must be serious. A few more minutes of waiting later, we heard a man screaming at the top of his lungs coming down the hallway. 2 girls in the class actually started crying, which made us even more scared. As the screaming got closer to the classroom, the lunatic man started banging on the lockers while screaming, "I'll kill all of you." It was at that moment that I started to fear for my life. My teacher shushed us as we all looked at each other. The banging then moved from the lockers to our classroom door. That's when one of the crying girls screamed, "No." The banging on the door only grew worse as the man started screaming, "Open up." 2 of the girls in the class are crying out loud now. It felt like an eternity before that man was pounding at the door, but eventually he finally continued down the hallway, screaming like a mentally insane person, till we could not hear him anymore, I'd say. 10 minutes later, though it felt like half an hour given the situation, the dean came back on the loudspeaker explaining the situation, which was surprising for him to do. He explained that an apparently mentally unstable person entered the building and assaulted the woman sitting at the front desk, causing her to flee the building screaming, and the staff wasn't sure if the man was armed or not. Now, this was before the school had cameras or could afford proper security, so the school was wide open to something like this happening. The staff had done a sweep of all the hallways and classrooms and couldn't find him, so the dean instructed the teachers to resume teaching, but to keep all the doors locked and not to let any students leave for any reason. The most disturbing part, however, is that one of the janitors working the night shift found the man sleeping in one of the storage closets near the back end of the school, and according to rumors that were spread by my peers, sticking out of his pocket was a .44 Magnum. The janitor must have done something stupid to wake him up, for example, leaving the closet door open, because by the time a police officer could arrive on the scene, the man was gone. My entire class, as far as I know, to this day, has no idea if this man was ever found. But I like to think that right now, he's being given the proper help that he needs. My school has 2 lunch periods. The first lunch period is for all 6th graders and some 7th graders. The second lunch period is for the other half of the 7th graders and all 8th graders. The lockdown happened at the beginning of October. The day the lockdown occurred, it was overcast and rainy. During the first lunch period, I heard 4 loud. I personally thought it was thunder, but the entire lunch crowd started screaming. I thought those kids were just overreacting. But then campus security came in and started yelling at people to go into the multi-purpose room, and kids who were in line buying lunch had to throw out their lunch and come inside. My friends and I went inside the room, along with a huge group of other kids. Everyone was curious about what was happening. Our multi-purpose room is huge, and the back wall is made of see-through glass. When we were rushed inside, security covered the glass with curtains, and there were adults at every exit. My friend Eric was curious, so he asked one of the adults what was going on. When he came back, He said there was a mentally unstable man barricading himself in front of his house and threatening to commit suicide and harm the cops if he was evicted. He was also watching the kids in a strange way. It turned out the man was also a registered sex offender, which made things worse. We were stuck in the multi-purpose room for about an hour, missing 2 periods. Once everything was settled, we were escorted back to our classrooms. Later, I found out that the man lived next to my friend Brandy, who shared that on the previous Halloween, she had seen him at his window, cutting his arm and writing in his own blood, "Don't come here, or I will kill you," on his window. People initially thought it was just a Halloween prank, but after the lockdown incident, we realized how serious it was, and we were relieved he never got close to us.